Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Basham Abishai Bahashem Brakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird among the heathens that look like the heathens. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And a couple of scriptures I want to start with. We're going to this is part 2 of the last lesson. Talking about the last kingdom. The cast was all wrong. This is going to be part 2 of that. And I just mentioned how the Israelites were scattered among the people. So here's the book, The Medieval Empire of the Israelites. I'm going to read an insert for it. I haven't really gone into this book yet, but I'm going to read this little insert on page 15. It says, despite the view usually held, the Jewish people, the Israelites, is a racially heterogeneous. Its constant migrations and its relations, voluntary or otherwise, with the widest variety of nations and peoples, have brought about so much degree of crossbreeding that the so-called people of Israel can produce examples of traits typical of every people. And that's what we look. And how do we tell you that our people are scattered among all people? And you know, crossbreeding really means nothing if it's a male. If the man is an Israelite, so is the child. Now, when it comes to the woman, you know, if an Israelite woman lets a heathen man plant his seed in her, then her children are heathen. Point blank, period. That is the true definition of a mamzer, because you got these people out here who's always screaming mamzer. That's what a mamzer is, all right? A mamzer is someone who has an Israelitish mother, but a heathen father. If your father is an Israelite, doesn't matter what your mother is. That's fact, all right? And let's just get one of my favorite scriptures to substantiate that, and then we'll move on to that point and get back on the subject matter. But, you know, just to make it very clear that we were scattered. You know, we were scattered among all people, okay? Because, you know, it just makes you think about, you know, this whole thing with the land of Israel and these people that came from Poland and Germany, all right? They didn't come from among all people, all right? So that's a telltale sign of something right there. But let's, what was I looking for? Oh, yeah. Is it 1 Kings? I think it's 1 Kings 8 and 19. Or is it 2 Kings? Yes, it's 1 Kings 8 and 19. And it reads, nevertheless, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son that shall come forth out of thy loins shall build the house unto my name. So, you know, you come forth from out of your father's loins, and he places you inside of your mother's womb, where your mother's womb acts as an incubator, and she brings forth that seed, which is already a bloodline and a race. All right. So, and you also notice too in this book, it shows you, you know, it has an image, and it shows Israel as the center of the world. And as far as trade goes, it is. But have no doubt, the land of Israel sits in Asia. All right. It literally sits in Asia. Remember my map here. All right. When I break out this map, okay, all the colored part. All right, you see the land of Israel right there at the corner, at the northeast corner of Africa. All right, Jerusalem being right next to Cairo. You see Cairo to Egypt, and then at Jerusalem right there, the purple. It sits in Asia. All of this landmass here is Asia, all the way from Jerusalem all the way to the Sea of Okhotsk. All right, all the way to the Bering Strait. You see Alaska on the other side there. All right. So all of this, all that land is Asia. So, so Israel sits in the land of what has been labeled Asia. All right. So let's get into this book. As a matter of fact, let me read another scripture before we go back to the Negro question, just to finish the lesson, part 2. Because all these things have to come out in these last days as we're rounding up, as the currencies are falling, as you're having wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, upheavals, uproars of the people, famines, food famines, and crazy diseases. All these things that are happening in the world. All right, and the truth has to come out, and shameful spewing upon the glory of those who have been in control, who've lied about everything. This is why they want to control what they call critical race theory. They don't want evidences and proofs and truths coming out about who they are. They want to continue to lie to their own children, to themselves, and not identify who they really are, which is the wicked. All right, with all the and the fact that everything they have they got through rape, robbery, and murder. They didn't pull themselves up by the bootstraps. All right. Everything that so-called white people, self-proclaimed white people have in this world, all right, no matter how you cut, I don't care how they went to school and worked hard, everything that was set up so that they could do that was through rape, robbery, and thievery. They even forced our people to build. Most of the major universities were all built by the Southern Kingdom, by the so-called Negroes, all right, here in America and in Europe for the most part. But this is Psalms 85:11, and it reads, "Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven." All right, so the relics. Okay, so as you're looking at Britain, you're looking at King Charles the second there, King of the Scots. You're looking at the real Irish. These were dark people. All right, this was King Charles the first, King Charles the second, and this one here was put to death by whether you see the arrow at the finger, the marker there, the cursor. He was put to death by Cromwell. He was beheaded. His nickname was Black Boy. All right. And more the royalty of Europe during the Dark Ages going into the Middle Ages. King James himself, a so-called black man, And so this book kind of highlights the stories of when the Cromwell brothers were removing all the Negroes from Ireland, Scotland, and Britain. All right. And most of them were being sent to the islands to serve slavery. Some of them converted to Islam and ran away that way. And actually came here to the Americas and became landowners and even slave owners. I always tell you the Moors who were Israelites who converted to Islam were some of the biggest race traders, biggest traders to our people that the world has ever seen. You still got these people running around FOI and still want to be Muslims today, and they don't, But anyway, this is the opening page of that book, all right? And it says, in academia, absolutism of these United States, now new science has emerged that has produced results that are in direct conflict, and that be that pseudoscience. Matter of fact, let's get that. Because science simply means to know. So to try to supersede truths and things, they create, pseudoscience, false science, to try and get around truth. So it says, 1 Timothy 6:20, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called." So, they'll do things and then come up with theories, and theories are guesses. It's not absolutes. Science is absolute. All right, I got something in my hand. If I let it go, it falls to the floor and crashes. Okay, if I let it go, it falls to the floor and crashes. That is science. That's gravity. That's something that we know. All right, to guess that it will do this or do that and all these other things before it hits the ground, those would all be estimations and theories, which are not proven. And they'll take theories that are not proven and actually make them fact. So let's continue to read. It says, now a new science has emerged that has produced results that are in direct conflict with the history that is being taught in classrooms, that science is genetics. But what is this issue? The pebble in the shoe that is pitting genetics against history. All right? The world history that is being taught in the classrooms omit the existence of black Scots, black Irish, black Brits, black Italians, black French, black Europeans, and that is absolutely true. And Hollywood and the media has backed this lie up, because these people were removed during the early days of Hollywood, right, from the silent films of black and white days, and until they brought color into it, right? And then now when you get to modern days and they show you a Viking that's actually being dark, or they'll show you a medieval movie, or and a period piece, and then show you black people in it, to the point that people get upset and say, well, that's not correct, when the fact it is. What was incorrect was the fact that that Hollywood was always showing these people, casting these people as being pale. All right. Europe was very, very intermixed. As a matter of fact, the so-called black people were the ruling class people. The so-called white people were the serfs and the people on the bottom. All right. They were the servants. All right. That women were worked in the brothels and were concubines and handmaids and things of that nature. That's just fact. Facts that they don't want to acknowledge. Okay? But it says the history that is being taught in the classroom is in direct conflict with eyewitness artifacts, DNA, and surnames of blacks in America. This great omission has caused the public to view institutions in a fraudulent and subject matter. And it's funny, because as a kid in school, I made these complaints in the 6th and 7th grade, because I could read and I could see. All right. And a lot of things, I had questions that didn't make sense. And, and my classmates would get upset because they just wanted to get out of class, but I was a shit starter, because I would ask questions in the classroom that most teachers weren't accustomed to children asking. So it's like the Lord was prepping me for this up to this day. All right. And it says, what is the solution of this problem? What is the missing link? The Negro question, part 4, the missing link, has the answer to make both sciences come together in perfect harmonious marriage. Neither of the two sciences possess the link to bring cohesiveness to their respective fields. The secret lies in the past, in the writings of Professor Boyd Dawkins, in his Ethic of Oliver Cromwell, all right, in ancient artifacts, and in the essay of Benjamin Franklin, all right. Benjamin Franklin really backed this up. Matter of fact, let me grab that. I have that in my my evidence file. Let's go to my evidence file. What Ben Franklin said, because he was talking about the darkness of the Germans in proving that black people were ruling in Germany. And it says, and this was from his book, Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, 1751, written by Ben Franklin. And it reads at the bottom, the last part of the letter, it says, why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where they have so far of an opportunity, by excluding the blacks, by excluding all blacks and tawnies, of increasing the lovely white and red, but perhaps I am perpetual complexion. You know, I need to start up above there. All right, I need to start up at the top of that, that paragraph. This is paragraph 24 in his book, which leads me to add a remark that the number of purely white people in the world are proportionally very small. All of Africa is black or tawny. So tawny is like my complexion, maybe a little darker. I'm kind of fair skinned. All right. Okay, but from someone who looks almost white, that's lighter than me, all the way up to someone who is chocolate. like an African, like a dark flesh Indian or Arab. Okay, because you got Indians in India that are just as dark and darker than some Africans. Okay, but it says the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All of Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. So America was full of tawny people, dark people, chocolate people. A lot of natives look like, so remember, many natives were reclassified as black. All right, they reclassified a lot of Native Americans as black people. So there's a lot of black people walking around that are actually native here in America. Okay, that's true. And I would hear that as a child. People would talk about them being Indian and their mother and father and grandmothers being Indian and all that. So a lot of them were telling the truth. Okay. Hold on. And it says, and in Europe, he said, in America is wholly so. Man, hold on, it froze. God dog it. I'm gonna say, here we go. Let me go back. It says, let me start that again. America exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so, they were dark. And in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, the Swedes are generally of what we call swarthy. Okay? Let's go to the word swarthy. Let's go look that up on the Etymology Online Dictionary, okay? There it is. Let's look up the word swarthy. Okay. Swarthy. All right. Dark color, especially of the skin. All right. From the 1570s, swart or swartz. That's where when you, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look what it says. A black person. So the people, Arnold Schwarzenegger names comes from a so-called black man. Swartz meaning black, negger meaning nigger. Black. All right. Swartzer, a black person. Somewhat derogatory Yiddish from Swartz, black. Swarthy. But you see what I mean? So swarthy, swartz, black, swarthy is referring to someone who is so-called black. All right. Now that we proved that point, let's continue. It says, oh, darn it. I picked up the wrong book. I was in the Ben Franklin. All right. It says, generally of what we call a swarthy complexion are the Germans, and the Saxons. Oh, he said only the Saxons accept it. So no, that's a lie, because they're not the angelic sons of Saxon, which creates a very disturbing problem, because now you have these white people claiming to be Saxons, claiming to be the sons of Jacob, but then you have the Jewish people claiming to be the sons of Jacob when they're both Edomites. All right? Because he just told you that everybody around, around the Britain was swarthy, proving that when they show you these movies and they show you when the Romans were fighting the people and, going to fight the people in all the surrounding lands and calling them Berbers and barbarians, they were all dark. All right? When you watch Spartacus, the character of Gannicus, the character of the undefeated Gaul, Quixus, they were all so-called dark people. Black, not necessarily black, but dark people. Black, dark complexions. All right? And many of them were Israelites. Okay? So, you have been lied to. And they get so angry. The comments on my videos, sometimes they're funny, and they're just out, just butthurt. Okay? But it says, who with the English make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. So the Saxons were not so-called white people. That's a lie. I could wish that the number were increased. And while we are, as I may call it, scouring our planet by declaring America of the woods and making this side of the globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of the inhabitants in Mars or Venus, why should we sights in the sight of superior beings darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? And these people were not African; they were Israelites. This was him, pushing that white lie, that white superiority lie, because you got to remember they started calling themselves white in 1681. Prior to 1681, they weren't referring to themselves as white. All right, they're hiding from that Edomite heritage, which the so-called white man is, collectively those of them that are not of other nations because of their fathers, they're Edomites. Okay. Because men around the world, everybody plants their seed in so-called white women. All right, it says and sometimes your children come out looking like their mother. That's just what it is. But that doesn't make them what their mother are. All right, it says by excluding blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red. All right, because they are red, they're not white. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of plurality is natural to mankind. So, he pretty much backed up the fact that all of Europe and Asia, okay, going back to this image, that all of Europe, Asia, and Africa were all tawny and black. Ben Franklin solidified that. They were all black or tawny. All right? So was the land of Israel and everybody in it, save the Edomites, all right, who lived in the south of the land of Israel, just south of it, still in Asia though. So let's look at these receipts on because he talked about Professor Boyd Dawkins. So I'm just gonna read. Let's go back to Negro question. So this is page 4 and 5, and I'm just gonna read a couple of highlighted inserts. All right. And these are titles of books and some of the things that were written. And these are on page 4 and 5 in the Negro question. And it says, Professor Winchell Alexander, Our Remote Ancestry, 1815 to 1900, collection of journals. And this is what it says. These short black men came from Atlantis, northern Africa, and they overran Europe, and they were known as Britain. So Britain was full of so-called black people, dark people, all right? Roman historian Tacitus, The Origins of Black Britons. The Iberians are black people with curly hair. Anthropological Review Society, London, Volume 8. That's the book, the information that it came from. All right. Joseph Ritson, Annals of, and there's the name of this book. All right. So I'm reading the name of the book and who wrote them first, and then, all right. So Joseph Priston, Annals of the Collodian Picts and Scots, Volume 2, pages 7 and 27. Picts and Brits are brown complexion with curly hair, not white people. Every movie you watch, when the Romans are fighting the Brits and the Picts and Germans and all, they're always showing you them white people. All right? Which is a complete lie. The book from Ivan van Sertima, African Presence in Early Europe, page 225. The Britons look like Ethiopians. All right? Albert Churchwood, 1912, The Origins of Evolution, pages 12 and 13. The black box were exterminated from Europe. All right? And why who? Cromwell. Because they were boss meaning bodies. So all over Europe, all over the continent of Europe, let's click it up. Here, all Europa, they found black bodies buried. All over it. Okay? All over the place. They were there, All right, before before the whites took it over the second time after during the Renaissance, when white people came back in, so-called white people came back into power. Hence the reason why they hate chocolate and tawny people so bad. Chocolate and tawny people brought down, and the Negroes, the Israelites, brought down the Roman Empire, and it went from being the pagan Roman Empire to the Holy Roman Empire, and then that's when you had this. All right, and properly it would be the Hebrew Israelites because they were Hebrew. All right, and so there are many images of knights in there. Like there's a video game For Honor. Once again, everybody showed as all the knights were showed as so-called white people. That is a lie. The people that were wearing this armor, for the most part, all right, were so-called black men. All right. They even had an armor where they let their froze out of the head. You would see that's why the British Guard wear those big bear hats that look like afros, because that was a time when you saw the palace guard, they all had big afros. Okay. The next book, Professor Boyd Dawkins, Our Earliest Ancestors, Bygone Days, a lecture delivered in the Public Hall, Collyhurst, Manchester, on January 8th, 1879. And he said, ancient Britons, Irish, Scots are short black people. Pages 103 and 107 of his book. Dr. Thurman, his book, Nature Journal of Science, page 92. From the